to the extent there is a birthday, you talk a lot about the gangs of New York.
True.
And you talk about 1971, the Hoe Avenue peace accord, as being an important element in this history.
And the anniversary's coming up.
Yeah, December 8th.
Yeah.
So Rebel Kings highlights that, but I remember distinctly when I first saw that documentary when it came out, I was just stunned to sort of come to then this point of this meeting that's being depicted there and the time period of the meeting and then what comes afterwards, which are parties to maintain the peace. And it just like hit me. I was like, this is the actual, if we can think of a birth, like this is what flowers it, because without that culture of parties and gyms, one, they would have killed each other.
Exactly.
But then the other part, the gym parties then gives the template and the desire for other people to have parties, right? And so especially when the gyms no longer were available. And so then that's why you end up having then a rec room party at, a housing complex because the gyms were foreclosed. And then the age group, because remember Kool Herc is providing a party for his younger sister. His younger sister is not of the age that would go to an Audubon ballroom or one of the bigger places. And so, but it's that peace meeting that then brings then these young people together, but these young people who are then engaging in all these elements separately on their own and putting them into this space together. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So it's like, well, we can play music because everybody likes music, and so I'll bring my records and I'll bring my turntables, and hey, if you can bring your speakers, right? And so then all of a sudden you have DJing taking shape at the gym, right?
And in the parks too. You make
exactly
that point.
Right,
and outside activities, including breaking, that allowing that to 100%. Take place outside.
And with regards to the parks, trust me when I say hip hop would not be taking place as we know it, the rapping, the DJing, the breaking, at a park in the Bronx if it wasn't for that peace meeting. Because prior to the whole movement of park jams, you couldn't leave your neighborhood and go to another neighborhood and just walk around freely.
Alive.
Because because gangs, basically the Bronx in the 1970s, especially the early 1970s, because of benign neglect, policies like that weren't policed. They were not supervised. And although gang culture gets a bad rap, on the flip side, you could say that gangs actually were protectors of their neighborhoods. And so because of this element of danger, leaving your neighborhood, going to another neighborhood, no one knows you. So in the eyes of the gangs that would protect that neighborhood, they saw you as an outsider. So a lot of rumbles would take place, erupt because of that. Who is this person? If it wasn't for Black Benjie being murdered as a result of trying to quell tensions between rival gangs.
That was the initial negotiation.
Right. That was the initial. That's what catalyzed the Hoe Avenue peace meeting, which was called by Benjamin Melendez, Yellow Benjie, who was the president of the Ghetto Brothers.
I could understand if they beat up Benjie, but killing him is another thing. You took away one of our brothers' lives, man. And we were right down the funeral looking at him, saying, I wish the immortals, if they were them, to see what it is to take away one of our brothers' lives. You don't want us to become a gang again, right? Because I know you, right? Don't I know you? You was up in the meeting and you told me, Benjie, I want to get out alive. Didn't you tell me that? Benjie didn't get out alive. Benjie died. They took away my brother's life, man. The thing is, we're not a gang anymore. We're an organization. We want to help Black and Puerto Ricans to live in a better environment.
He called the meeting similar to the movie The Warriors, where Cyrus, at the first 10 minutes of the film, is telling all the gangs, one gang could run this city. Can you dig it? That literally happened at the Hoe Avenue meeting. Yeah, sure. That's what that was. And if it wasn't for Black Benjie's death and Yellow Benjie being able to get all the gangs in the city together on Hoe Avenue, Boys Club, and get the gangs to tone it down. And that's not to say that it was just, from one day to the next, it was just, everyone was an angel,
hands,
right? Yeah, and holding hands and stuff and singing Kumbaya. There was still tension, but it wasn't as bad. And because of that tension reducing, it created the space for the Hercs and the BAMs to throw these park jams. So now you could leave your neighborhood and go to this block party that Grandmaster Flash was having and enjoy yourself and have fun. And so, but again, then you got to think about, well, why? Like, why were these gangs even there? Like, why was gang culture even a thing? And it's because these kids were trapped in the Bronx, living on top of each other. There was no supervision. There was a financial crisis in New York City. So
this is, as a result, we could point to, in this case, the Moynihan Doctrine.
Right. Exactly.
And the benign neglect.
Right.
So moving out
all
social
and
programs.
it's this weird, crazy web.
Yeah.
And it's all connected.
Yeah.
And that's basically what the book, The City of Hip Hop, argues. That it's bigger than just whether or not a black kid started scratching first.
Absolutely.
It's just like, well, why was that black kid living in the Bronx? Why was his family there? Why wasn't he able to leave the Bronx? They were, like we were saying earlier, these kids, these families were literally trapped and having to figure out resourceful ways to exercise their creativity and have fun and express themselves. And so they chose these bastard mediums, taking a turntable and converting it into an instrument.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or taking cardboard from a Crazy Eddie and converting it into their makeshift dance floor.
Yeah.
That, to me, is just when you think about it. And so my thing is why? Why were we dancing on cardboard? While it was happening, because again, I started out as a breaker. 8 years old, my brother's teaching me how to break. You go to any random corner in Jackson Heights, Queens, where I grew up, and I kid you not, this isn't hyperbole, there would be a group of kids, any random corner in Jackson Heights, you see a group of kids breaking on the corner with a boombox outside.
Oh, yeah.
But my thing is, like, now that I'm older, I would think back and just be like, well, ponder, like, why were we dancing on the street? Why didn't our parents put us in dance studios? And it's because our parents were poor.
Yeah. If the dance studio would even
accept us.
Operate.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So these are the things that I feel we interrogate in the book and try our best to get people to zoom out and see past the taglines, keeping it real and hip hop 50. And it's like all that is cool selling points to get people to buy tickets to a concert. But when you really sit down and think about the culture, you realize it's an amazing story and one that needs to be told in depth.